What I like about the community is that, well, there's programs and stuff that you could go to at Wilkinsburg, like the Boys and Girls Club, and they play basketball, football, and they help you with your homework after school. And some of the stuff that I don't like is, I would say, the violence. Because when there's violence around you, it won't help you focus as much in school. Violence is everywhere. And then you can't get out your mind because it's just something you think about. Like if it's someone you know who died.
The Claw is like after school program and the summer program. It's like a place to get away from all the trouble. It's open directly after school all the way to 8 o'clock. It's just like another safe place to go to when you come home from school. I think it's an important place because it can actually keep a lot of kids off the streets, because there's some kids who got killed because they probably didn't go to after school program and they was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, when in reality they could have been at after school program playing with other people or some parental supervision.
I would help clean up the community by starting a group, maybe on the weekends, that walks around and picks up trash. Talk to the younger kids about what they would like outside of school, so it could keep them off the streets and maybe doing more activities or programs.
I would have new parks, because the parks now are bad. They barely have swings, and I would help clean up because it would help the earth. I think people should stop littering and clean up and be responsible.
I think, one of the ways that young people can help in helping with the community is to participate more when they have a voice, and I'll just give an example. Recently myself with the support of the ministers here in Wilkinsburg began what's called a Sanctuary Project. And with that, that's a collaboration of churches that have come together and want to support our young people, look at ways of supporting our young people and develop activities. I don't know if you played a part last year, but we had a real big fun day for the young people over at Christian Church, in the parking lots beside Christian Church. So if you were to ask me, how can you support that? I'd say one is to become, young people can become a better citizen, be more cautious of how you treat your community. We have a lot of litter in the community. A lot of times it's due to people walking and just dropping paper. That's may seem like a small thing, but it's a big thing in the community. So become better stewards over, take ownership in the community. Be conscious of, we have an older population. We've grown a lot of adult seniors here in the community. Be conscious of how we relate to our seniors, because they paid a price, and they were all young, but there's a respect factor that has to be associated. We have to develop a better relationship, we being, the older adults as well as our young people. So I think.
My name is Phyllis Weatherby, and I went to grade school and junior high school in Forest Hills, but they did not build a high school 2 years later. So they arranged for streetcar passes. We didn't have school buses back then. The bus companies hadn't come onto that game yet. So we rode the streetcar from Forest Hills into Wilkinsburg, had a bus pass, and sort of took over the streetcars during when we were going home. It was kind of part of the game. I graduated in 1946. I spent my sophomore, junior, and senior years here. I was on the student not on the student council. I was on the French club and the science club. And because I rode the streetcar back and forth, I didn't have time for quite as much. You mean the yearbook? This is the 1946 Wilkinsburg Annual, and I found it in the library. And let's see now. I saw it a minute ago. My senior picture is on this page somewhere. I turned the page too far. Sorry. All right, I'm right there.
Over the years, I think we've The population has changed. Our schools have changed. At one time, we had 3,000 students here in the high school, and currently we're down to about 400. And just the makeup of the city, the complexion has changed a lot. The stores have changed. At one time, Wilkinsburg was a bustling community. When I was younger, all the store fronts were filled, nice shops, places to go. But as the malls came in, that changed, and now we're bordering on trying to become a ghost town. Well, I've raised my family here. I have 2 sons, 2 daughters, all grown, and 8 grandchildren. I really enjoy Wilkinsburg. I enjoy living here. It's close to the parkway, so it's convenient for me to get to work, and it's close to going to other places. And just where I live, my neighborhood, my street hasn't changed that much, so I pretty much have had the same neighbors for the past 30 years. We all get along and look out for each other, and I enjoy that in the community. I think we're on the right track. We're trying to get back to where we used to be. It's a great community. There's a lot of people here that are active. I think some of the school-age children, some of you all should get active in the community, start seeing what you can do to make it better. Being a part of the community means taking on some responsibility. So as more of us become responsible citizens, we all can make this a better community to live in.
Well, I got involved with Mad Dads in 2004, and the primary reason I got involved with it, I was concerned about some things that were going on in your generation, particularly within my family. In my generation, in my family, we've lost several people due to the types of things Mad Dads was designed to address. I had a cousin murdered in 1974. I had another cousin who was exactly 5 years older than me, shot here in Wilkinsburg in 1970. He survived it, but it was a terrible ordeal when that happened. And I had another cousin that died from a drug overdose in the 90s. So when I saw that there was potential and some of the young people in my own family and your generation that were susceptible to some of those same issues, and they were promising young people, they didn't fit the script that a lot of people would think would cause them to be susceptible to this, I felt compelled to get involved with something to make a difference. This book I'm holding here is called Urban Heroes, Ordinary Citizens that Do Extraordinary Things. This was produced by Geneva College Urban Center for Urban Biblical Ministry, and I was a person that was selected as one of the individuals here in the Pittsburgh area. But that happened not because of who George Spencer is. That happened because of the men and women that have joined together under Mad Dads and are doing something effective enough that someone would take a look at that and say, boy, you know, we find that extraordinary what those people are doing. As the president, I'm the one that, it's my name that's in the book, but it's what we are doing. Duquesne University School of Social Work shadowed us one day, very similar project as this, with their camera, and went on patrol with us. And you know, as the president, you know, I'm a major part of that interview. But again, George Spencer by himself could not bring about that interview. I wouldn't be sitting here with you all today, getting a chance to form relationships with you if it wasn't for the people that work with me. I'm not sitting here because of what I do alone.
Well, we train at the gym, and we train in a lot of areas. We don't train just in the area of boxing, but we train them about the importance of education. We train them about the importance of obeying the law. And I use myself as an example for that, and how important it is to respect the law and to be a law-abiding citizen, and what can be accomplished by that. Then we also help them with, you know, as far as helping them with homework and that sort of stuff, just a wide variety of things that we do with them, and really try to find out what they really want to do. You know, because we're finding and we're learning, I've learned through coming through hundreds of youngsters that just a lot of them are very intelligent, very educated, you know, love school, but many of them just don't have an idea of who they want to be or where they want to go. So I focus a lot on that, and that's what I do with the fighters when we training them, as well as my pro here, Nightmare. He helps to do the same thing and helps with educating them about this criminal lifestyle, because we got, in our program, we got a thing called decriminalization, deinstitutionalization, and also deglamorization. And those three elements is three very important parts of the criminal lifestyle, and about getting away from the criminal lifestyle, because the decriminalization involves decriminalizing your thinking and behavior and getting back to the norms of life and living a healthy, productive life. And deglamorization is about just glamorizing. Oftentimes we find ourselves glamorizing the criminal lifestyles like it's something glamorous about shooting somebody, or glamorous about killing somebody, or glamorous about maiming somebody, and there's nothing glamorous about that. It's nothing glamorous about shooting people and taking people, robbing people of their life. And that's a lot of what's going on with our youth today. And as a result of that, they end up in prison like I did for 51 years of my life, for nearly 51 years of my life. And I had no idea what it meant to be institutionalized. And what that simply means is that when you go to prison so much and so long, and going back and forth and not having an opportunity to do life on life's terms and live life, that you get so institutionalized that when they let you go, you can't fit into the norms of society. So and as a result of that, you end up going back to dealing with the very thing that you dealt with before you went to prison. So that's what I do. Well, one way I'm going to be able to do it is that the number one way is that I continue to invest my time in the future world champ here, Mr. Chris Nightmare Stallworth, and he's got that name Nightmare because everybody he fights, he gives them, and they have nightmares afterwards. That's why we gave him that name. And he calls himself that because everybody he fights, they report to the psychologists and to the psychiatric field that everybody that fights this guy get nightmares. So as a result of that, we work together and we try to give it to our youth so that our youth won't end up in the same entrapments that we ended up in, and that he'll be a good example from the Pittsburgh area when we go and get all these titles, because we ain't stopping there. We're going through the cruiserweight division, which he's a natural cruiserweight, and then we're going to also go, we're going to challenge his ability to go ahead and get the heavyweight titles as well.
Taking back to what you asked me a few minutes ago, I started off at an after-school program called the K-Boys Club, located in the Hill District. I was a troubled kid who had a lot of energy and needed a place to channel it, you know. One day I stumbled upon a building where a lot of kids were going, and I was curious about what was happening there. So I went down there and met a guy, may rest in peace, John Osteen, old guy with silver hair, you know, sitting in a dark office. He laughed at me, and I told him I wanted to be a fighter. And he said, "You'll never be a fighter." He said, "You got you have an attention deficit. You can't stay focused." I said, "You want to bet?" So what he seen was I was so aggressive and I was going around challenging everyone. You know, my first lesson is that I got my butt whooped. That determined right then and there that this is what I wanted to do. Well, I think God has used me to be a bridge, to take from the negative to the positive and be an example for the young guys and different people. And a lot of people will glorify money, but there's legitimate ways that you use energy, you know, that God's giving you from your talent to make the kind of money that you want to make, as long as you sacrifice. Determination, dedication, that's number one. Number two is get to other people, schools, and open up more after-school programs. There's not a lot more left, and that's what saved my life. I would probably be doing life in the penitentiary if it had not been for the K-Boys Club. Yeah, I can say that I was one of the local neighborhood bullies. That's number one. Number two, I had, at that time, which was totally wrong, I looked up to guys who had the long cars, the Cadillacs, or the short cars, the Benzes. And I had lusted for that lifestyle so bad and so much with no proper guidance. My father, you know, who is a career heroin addict, who has his trials and tribulations, you know, after he came out of the Vietnam War, had no direction. My mom died at a young age from complications with diabetes, so I was left up the streets to be raised. There was no man that sat me down like Father Chisholm sat me down and said, this is the way to do it.
Hi, my name is Jordan Howard from Wilkinsburg High School, and today it's my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. J.R. Holden.
I'm J.R. Holden. I'm from Wilkinsburg, grew up here. Ended up going to Wilkinsburg High School until the 10th grade, and then I went to Lindsley in Wheeling, West Virginia to play football, actually. Picked up basketball along the way, ended up getting a scholarship to Bucknell University to play basketball. I came out during 1998 during the NBA lockout like they just had recently. And there wasn't, you know, of course during the lockout there's no NBA teams that are working people out. So I ended up going overseas to a small country in Latvia. Spent 1 year in Latvia, then I went to Belgium for 2 years, Greece for a year, and then Russia for 9 years. That's just the basic information on where I've been the past 13 years. It's a funny story. My best friend, I call him my brother, his mom was on drugs when he was about 11 years old. So he moved in with my family, and it was just my mom, but me and my sister. And he moved in, and he loved basketball. He didn't play no other sports but basketball. So I grew up only in football. So probably about 14, 15, I started picking up basketball, and he played it every day, so I played it every day. And you know how you grow up with your friends. You know, if your best friend plays chess, you're probably gonna play chess. He played basketball, so I picked up a basketball, and I probably fell in love with it at about 16. I think anything you do in life, you have to make a sacrifice, and my sacrifice was going millions of miles away to play basketball. You know, when you listen to other people, I think that's when a lot of your thoughts get confused on what you really want to do. And of course, nobody here probably has ever heard of Riga, Latvia. So when they said, hey, we got a contract for you to go play professional basketball in Riga, Latvia, all my friends was like, you're crazy, what are you doing? Well, I looked at it as an opportunity to pursue a dream. And I took the first step, and that was getting out my own way and taking that step on that journey to be a professional basketball player. And I was fortunate and blessed to be successful. I have one daughter. She lives in Detroit, and she was born while I was overseas in 2006. And I know she was so young, she wouldn't have been able to understand why Daddy wasn't home or why I was always away. So I started just keeping a journal of some of the things I was going through, maybe mentally or physically with basketball. So it started simply as just a journal to my daughter. Well, I have a friend who's a publisher, and as he was reading it, I wanted him to edit it for me so I can give it to her when she turned about 13 or 14 so she'll be able to read it. Well, as he started reading it, amazing things started happening in my career. Like, I got a Russian passport. Vladimir Putin, the former Russian president, gave me a passport to play basketball for the Russian men's national team. Russia had never won the gold medal as Russia. As the Soviet Union, years ago, they had beat the U.S., as everybody knows, the first time U.S. ever lost in basketball. Well, they were trying to get back to that elite level. So he gave me a passport. And once he gave me a passport, I hit the game-winning shot for Russia. And that was their first ever gold medal. So you got to think, a black man in an ex-communist country where they really didn't accept blacks hit the game-winning shot for Russia to win a European championship. So he played off of that, and he just said, you got to make this into the book, and not because it's about basketball. Like, it's truly just about life and perseverance, and there's a certain way you should carry yourself in order to be successful. If I would have went over probably with my jeans sagging, hat to the side, I probably wouldn't have got a Russian passport, but I went over there and I said, I'm here for a job, I'm here to work, and I'm here to do the best I can. And that led me to bigger and better things. And people don't understand, if you just do the right thing, everything that you ever dreamed of is possible.
Oh, it did. It took a long time for me to become a judge. In particularly, you want to know the date? Well, I ran for election in 1991, and I started serving in 1992. And I served for 14 years in Wilkinsburg as the first woman ever elected to the district justice in Wilkinsburg. And I was also not only the first woman, but the first black African-American woman to be elected. Well, becoming a judge was not my first ambition. In fact, I wanted to be a teacher. And in fact, I did teach. But I didn't go back to school until I was in my early 30s, after my children were in school. And, but I moved to Wilkinsburg in 1964. And the things that my children got involved in, got involved in. I think my background, having worked in the community, because in seeing my children grow up here and being involved with the civil rights movement here and with the community in general. We had a track team, we went to church here, and so I loved the community, so I really wanted to be involved. I knew how important it was to be a judge, and when I decided that I was going to run, because some people did come to me to ask me about running, I checked with people whose opinion I valued, and I decided that I would run for the position. One of the main jobs of a judge is to be sure that justice is done, and that's on both sides. You're supposed to ensure that people are treated fairly and that you make the best decision that you can. Now, the decision may not be, quote, to some people, the best decision, but based upon the evidence that's presented, you make the decision. So I think there was only one time I had a question, but I had a question not because I didn't believe I made the best decision, but because something seriously happened afterwards. And I used to wonder if I had done something differently, if it would have come out differently. Well, you've been looking at television and you see how hard it is sometimes to run for political offices, right? All right, I had spoke with my husband first, and again, I talked with other people whose opinion I trusted and valued to see if they thought that I should run for an office. And one comment was, well, you've always been easy to meet people, and it's always been easy for you to you know the community, so who better than you? So because of the feedback that I got from opinions that I valued, I decided to run. That was my process. You know what? I love the youth, and having an opportunity to talk with them, we conducted juvenile justice seminars right here in this auditorium, where we brought in people from the juvenile court, from the DA's department, from the Attorney General's department, and had so that the children would know what their rights were, encourage them to stay on the right side of the law, and so that was beneficial. Other beneficials was to see my own children benefit, and grandchildren. Some of you are my grandchildren's ages. One of the ways I prepare myself, I have a strong religious background. Prior to going on the bench, I take time to read some scripture. I sing some good gospel songs that I like for myself, so that when I get on that bench, my mind is open and ready to hear the information.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.